Hey you guys, good morning. Tina Salisbury. Welcome to our morning Zoom. Super excited for our topic today. We're just going to talk about measuring your progress. So you guys are 2 weeks in. I can't wait to leave some time at the end. We'll talk about some celebration moments and some of the victories that you guys are having, and talk about some of the challenges that you guys are facing as well. But let's kind of get started talking about measuring your progress, right? Because 2 weeks in, maybe you've seen the scale drop, maybe some of you significantly, maybe some of you not much at all. And I know that if we tend to jump right to the scale to gauge our progress. And in doing that, it can be really frustrating if you're not seeing that progress happen as quickly, or it jumps up and down, right? A lot of different things that can happen as we're measuring our weight and progress. So I just want to kind of give you some tips and some other ways to really be looking at measuring your progress that are typically a lot more accurate than just using the scale. So why in using the scale isn't it always the very best measurement tool? Well, there's a couple of things. First of all, as you start to work out and as you're working on your nutrition, your body is changing. Your heart is learning to work more effectively. Your circulation's getting better, right? You're developing muscle and burning fat, which really have different ratios as far as pounds go. So all of those things can really make it so that it's really hard to measure your progress. I know when I started working on my weight loss journey, there were certain things that I was able to measure against. And then when I did the program Hammer and Chisel, I really focused on gaining muscle and strength. And that really changed my body composition so much that it was really not measuring progress the same way. And I remember that was really frustrating to me at first, to really try to find a way that I felt good about and that I felt like I was able to really track my progress. Because again, the scale, actually I gained 4 pounds on that program, right? So if I'm just using the scale, it would have been an utter failure, yet I've never been as lean and toned as I was when I finished that challenge. So let's talk a little bit about what things can fluctuate your weight. Why do we fluctuate? Because really it can fluctuate as much as 3 to 7 or maybe even more pounds in just one day. So first one is water. Water, the body's about 60 to 70% water, and depending on your fluctuation of your hydration levels and when you measure in, and if you've eaten a lot of salt and your body's retaining more water, that might cause that scale to creep up. Also, for women, it depends on that menstruation cycles, right? Different times of the month can really affect that change as well. And then it can also really, so water is something that really we can gauge our progress and really know that can really hamper that number on the scale a lot of times. Another thing that can really affect that our weight is the food that we're eating. Right? So I think it's definitely ideal to make sure that if you're using a scale to gauge your progress, that you do measure in at the same time every day, or the same time of day that you last measured. I definitely don't recommend that you measure in every single day. But, depending on what you eat, your body can really change or adapt to that as well, right? Like I know if I tend to eat more gluten and dairy type foods, like I feel more bloated, I retain more water. So, you just kind of can learn to, one, that having that food and the point of what the point of digestion is for that food can really make a difference, as well as knowing that different types of food can affect your body differently. So continue to explore and to learn what foods help you to feel your best and which ones don't, right? And then the last thing, again, as I mentioned, we're trading out burning that fat and trading in muscle. And muscle is a lot more dense than fat is, and it takes up less space. So adding muscle can increase your scale weight, even though you'll be slendering down. And I remember, so I used to exclusively be a runner, right? I didn't incorporate much strength training. I didn't really incorporate any other types of workouts with what I did. So when I started training and making a difference in doing more triathlons instead of just marathoning, what I noticed is, you know, the weight didn't necessarily change or come off, but what did change was my body composition. I really lost a lot of inches. And I remember seeing a picture right before running my second triathlon where my face was just so slimmed down, and I hadn't noticed it on a day-to-day basis, but I saw that. And, you know, it was motivating to me because, again, the only focus I'd ever really had engaging my weight was to look at how many pounds that I'd lost or that I wasn't losing pounds, and so I wasn't making progress. So that really helped me to understand and really take into consideration of that, getting stronger, gaining more muscle density, and how that was really changing my body and helping me make progress. So let's talk about, if we're not just going to use the scale, what are some other ways to really measure your progress and what you're doing? Number one, I would say progress pictures, right? We all dread taking that first picture of ourselves because we know we're here to make changes because we don't appreciate maybe the way we look or the way we feel. So having that picture seems like a death reminder of what we don't want to see in ourselves. But I challenge you to just take it, and even if you need to just put it away, don't ever show it to the world. Whatever you need to do with that, have that picture, because you'll never be able to go back and get that picture again. And that will be life-changing to you as you continue to move and make progress. And, you know, we probably won't see progress on a daily basis. It's really hard to see that. But when you can put a picture together 1 month later, 2 months later, 3 months later, and several years later, seeing that extreme change, seeing how far you've come, where you've come from, is something that you will find very motivating and that you just can't replace. You can't get that back. I remember when I had started the 21-day fix a couple weeks after I was pregnant, and so I consistently took pictures. But it was at the end of the year, I was just happened to be going through some of my pictures, and I thought, well, I'll put these together and I'll make a collage. And, you know, one of the areas that I always hated about my body was that back fat, right? Like that bra fat, ladies, where you kind of have those rolls on your back, and it just, you just never feel good about that. And I remember putting those pictures together, and the picture from May to December, and it was almost gone. That those rolls were pretty much, you just couldn't see them. And I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, look at this progress. And it wasn't something that I looked for on a daily basis to check out my bat wings. It wasn't, something that I looked for to get a picture of those rolls. But seeing that progress it was so humbling just to see how far that I've come. So use your pictures, get them out, compare them as you move from month to month, and always have that beginning picture in mind as you continue to make progress and make this a lifestyle, to really see how far you've come. Inches lost. Great way to measure your progress. So when we look at inches, great places to measure are your arms, your chest, your waist, your hips, your thighs, even your calf muscles, if you want to look at that too. So, and inches lost are really probably one of the best indicators of how your body is changing. And we all change a little bit differently, right? Like I know some people really slender up through their waist, have that really nice hourglass figure. I tend to really keep hold of those love handles and just not be able to release there, yet have lost a lot of inches in my hips, and for sure, unfortunately, in my chest, have lost a lot of inches as well. But so we all change a little bit differently. So being able to see that will help you to know to just be another measure of your progress. Let me see here. I'm gonna try to change this view here. All right, perfect. So inches lost is another great way. And then if you're going to measure percentage of change, you know, another great way to really see your progress is to measure your body fat percentage, right? Seeing what those changes are in the percentage of fat, how much you're burning, turning that into muscle is a really good way to gauge that. So the most accurate method is really to do like water testing, where you go and they put you in this bath of water and you kind of do this negative weight. And you can find that usually through some hospitals or universities. It can sometimes be expensive, so it's not something you do all of the time, but again, it's a really great way to start and gauge your progress and how you're doing, right? And there's other methods that you can use. A lot of digital scales now will measure out your body fat percentage, or you can use calipers to do that. There's other methods. You know that they're not completely accurate as, you know, doing like the water bath testing, but, you know, it'll still give you some measure to track. And the thing about helping you to measure your progress that way is just to make sure that you're consistent, right? So that you're measuring the same places when you do measure. I would recommend, if you're using calipers or things like that, to have somebody help you with that, because you'll get a lot better accurate measurements if somebody is helping you with that. And you know, try to again use the same time of day and things like that you're using too. So and then one last way to really measure your progress too is how are your clothes fitting, right? Like that's the easiest way to really measure how our body is changing, is to really just feel yourself every single day. Are you buttoning up those pants a little bit easier? Are you pulling things out that you haven't worn for a while? You know, are you noticing a more slender physique as you put those form-fitting shirts on every single day? You know, so really celebrate those things and celebrate that opportunity to really feel your best and to have those different ways of gauging progress. Okay, so again, we talked about, you know, using the scale, but not really utilizing that as your biggest measurement tool. Other ways to do that: progress pictures, looking at your inches lost, body fat percentage, and how your clothes fit will be much better ways. So, and I wanted to also talk to you about non-scale victories, because the things that you can look for each and every day, and you can find these little things of how you're getting stronger and growing to be able to measure your progress too. So I just kind of came up with a list, and I would love for you guys to type into the chat or to type into our group, you know, what are some other non-scale victories that you look for, or what are some things that you guys are celebrating even this week, you know, as you've been a couple of weeks into the programs and are making progress. So here's some things that I thought. So clothes fitting better, huge. I love to hear this victory, because we all have those favorites that might have gotten a little bit too tight or that we can't wear anymore. And how fun is it to be able to have that, right? To kind of go into your closet and shop again. More endurance. Maybe you're able to do more or go harder or longer with your workouts. Maybe your rings are fitting looser on your fingers. You know that you've lost inches. People are asking if you've lost weight. Doesn't that feel so good? You know, and a lot of times people won't notice for a good 4 to 8 weeks after you've initially lost weight. And that's okay, again, especially if people see you every single day. But you'll notice some of that progress first. And it does feel so good when you start really seeing those visible changes in you. You feel healthier. You know, one thing I really loved about starting and integrating Shakeology into our diet is that I just felt healthier every day. I felt like I had energy. I felt good, and it really motivated me to stay on track more, just because that feeling was so addictive and I wanted to have that. It had been so long. I felt so tired and lethargic and dealt with headaches and waking up groggy in the mornings. I felt like that for so long. Holding on to that healthy feeling and having more energy really, really made a big difference. So celebrate that, having more energy. Maybe you're lifting a little bit heavier, you're changing your weights out. You're noticing some difference in your sleep patterns. Are you sleeping better? Are you sleeping more soundly? Are you able to get more sleep? Unhealthy cravings. So you have fewer unhealthy cravings. You're craving different types of food now and really wanting that food, right? You know, sometimes at first it's a matter of us knowing that this is what we need to eat to get results. But then there comes this time when you are so excited to eat that food, and because of how good it's helping you to feel. Sweet potatoes were one of those things for me. I really never really loved sweet potatoes, but now I crave it. It's like a snack and a treat for me, and I really love to have it every single day. You have the desire to exercise. You guys, it's so hard for some people to get started just because they dread exercise, you know? So having that desire to exercise because you know that it helps you to feel better and to feel good, that's a real victory. Maybe you're choosing water instead of other sodas or juices or other drinks and beverages that you had typically chose. You've got increased determination. You know that you can fight through those obstacles, through life events that come up and happen, and you are determined to be successful. You're able to focus better. How great is that, to have more clarity, to have more focus? It brings more creativity into your life, allows you to do better work and to do more. Maybe you're taking fewer breaks in your workouts and you've inspired someone else. Isn't that such an amazing thing? When people notice that you've made a difference, they ask you what they're doing, and they're interested to join with you or at least find out more because you've inspired them through the changes that you've made. And then I would say reviewing your food journal and your choices, right? It's so great to look back because as you get started, maybe you struggled at times. Maybe you struggled with those cravings, struggled to give up those foods or those beverages that you knew weren't really great for you. But look through your food journal, and that can be a real victory as you start to see the types of foods and the amount of balance that you have in healthy choices versus unhealthy choices start to change and make a difference, right, in how you're feeling. So noticing that not only what's happening, but why it's happening, and celebrating that those moments are a really great thing too. So those are a few non-scale victories that I came up with that I think are really great to celebrate. And, you know, I wanted to share that list so that you guys can really start thinking about some of those things, because maybe you are seeing victories there, but you haven't thought about that. And this is a great way that you'll be able to celebrate that too. All right, and then I wanted to just talk to you about some other things that you could do that could help you to be incentivized, right? Or make this fun, you know, just find fun ways to be able to track your progress. So again, I think shopping, go shopping and find something that you love. Maybe you've got an event coming up or something that you want to look really great in, family pictures or whatever that might be. Buy yourself an outfit and put that somewhere where you are seeing it every single day. Maybe you're going to be taking a beach vacation or something like that. Buy yourself a new swimsuit. You know, maybe you want to have shorts for next year, right? This is a great time of year to buy things on clearance, and maybe you just buy a little bit smaller size, right? And you know that you're going to fit into those next summer, and you go for it, right? So make that fun. Make shopping a good adventure and something that can incentivize you, one, right now, because you know you've made progress, and why shouldn't you feel your best right now by giving yourself something that you feel great in, and then also maybe setting that up for future goals, right, and for things that you want to have and to be able to fit into as we move forward and make progress. Another way is to make your progress visible. One, I really love the idea, and I've done this before, of not just for weight loss, but for a lot of things, especially for my kids, where, you know, if they accomplish a goal or do something, then they get to put like a pebble in the jar, right? So maybe you have a jar, your weight loss jar, and put 2 jars. Maybe your goal is to lose 30 pounds, so put 30 pebbles or something in that one jar, and for each pound that you lose, you move it over into the other jar. I think it was Kate told me that she had taken that idea that I posted and was doing that. And that's just a fun way to keep yourself motivated and to keep moving forward to see your progress. Also, I've had people who kind of take this same idea, but for every, kind of combat their struggle points, right? So for me, maybe that's eating at night, because that's where I have to keep working on those habits. So for every night that I didn't eat after 7 o'clock, maybe I throw $1 in that jar, right? And when I'm able to spend that on something that I want because of the progress that I've made, right? So maybe you give yourself $1 or $5 every time that you make progress in the area that you want to see yourself develop, right? Maybe instead of every time you grab a healthy snack, instead of, something that has been processed or has sugar, you throw $1 in that jar, right? So have fun incentivizing yourself to be healthier and to work on these habits and enjoying that experience of being able to do that too. So you guys, happy Saturday. I hope this is helpful to help you look at some other ways to really measure your progress and where you're going. And if you guys have some topics or things that you guys want to cover in these Saturday Zooms, then put that into our groups, either into the app or into the Facebook group. I'd really love your suggestions and to really make these about helping you guys to gain the most from that. So thanks for jumping on, and we'll talk to you guys soon.